3 things the Lone Ranger taught me about voice acting. I grew up in the 70s and early 80s listening to rebroadcasts of old radio shows. While other kids my age were watching Charlie's Angels or Battlestar Galactica, I was listening to Jack Benny, X-1, and the Green Hornet. And perhaps the most iconic show of all was The Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger on the radio is a far cry from the cheesy and overblown movie representations from 1981 and 2013, and even from the classic 1950s TV shows starring Clayton Moore. The Lone Ranger radio shows, starring Brace Beemer in the leading role, had a captivating effect on me as a young listener. The great thing about old radio shows is that the listener's imagination provides the images. The narration and dialogue of a well-written radio program can be far more engaging than any show on a screen, big or small. Here are 3 ways The Lone Ranger has impacted my work as a voice actor. Number 1. Good diction matters. The Lone Ranger was one of the most well-spoken characters on the radio. Unlike his loyal partner Tonto, who struggled with pronouns, the Lone Ranger always came across to the listener as intelligent, trustworthy, and in complete control thanks to his precise diction and pronunciation. But at the same time, he never sounded stuffy or forced. When doing voiceover work, I try to maintain that balance between proper enunciation while still sounding friendly and conversational. Number 2. Persistence pays. It is true that in many episodes, trouble seemed to fall right into the Lone Ranger's lap. But more often than not, episodes involved a long and grueling search for the outlaws. Both Tonto and the Lone Ranger were experts in picking up the trail and tracking bad guys to their hideouts. As a voice actor, I similarly try to go the extra mile for my clients, paying attention to details and following through on every project to its successful completion. Number 3. Mix it up. Fred Foy was the primary announcer on the Lone Ranger radio shows. And while he is best known for what I consider the greatest introduction of any radio program, he also served as the show's narrator. Foy had an incredible ability to add color, emotion, and drama when describing scenes with his use of varied volumes and energy levels. He could draw the listener in, reporting with a hushed voice as the Lone Ranger crept up on the bandits, or bring you to the edge of your seat with an exciting rapid-fire account of a fistfight. I have tried to apply that technique of varying cadence and volume to make reads more interesting and impactful. Old radio shows have often been described as theater of the mind, and I completely agree. I think my discovery at an early age of the power and impact of radio shows is one of the main reasons I went into voice acting.